Welcome back. You're watching Signature Morning on Signature Television. We're talking elections right now and recognizing elections. We have been joined by Mr. Ojezuoke Edmund. He is in finance in Ibuesa South local government area. Good to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, uncles.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's talk organizing elections across board. I just want to start nationally. We see that this keeps increasing every 4 years. Even the ones that are off-cycle elections, it keeps increasing every year. And then you wonder whether, it's expensive by the day or that the materials that are, keeps adding monies, or whether it's because of the devaluation of the naira or stability in the cost. Give us an overview for you of what makes election costs much more expensive than we previously would have.
Thank you so much. You see, one, the cost of living in this part of the world is coming unbearable, and it touches every aspect of life. And when it comes to issues pertaining to election, you find out that a lot of tricks and intricacies are being done there. For instance, in Nigeria, the last election, I think I rated around 313 point something billion for that. And all of us were witnesses to how the election eventually went to. And at the same time, I can't say exactly what happened, but we all minds know exactly what I would feel that happened. And that, if you compare what happened in Nigeria to other countries like Kenya, and a few other countries in Africa, for instance, you see that they are not being done the way it's supposed to be. And that helps increasing the elections in this part of the world. And that they're not even that you get exactly what you want from the elections, but at the end of the day, you see what, like in Nigeria today, we have crisis. And I believe that if I've gotten it right, based on the cost, of that election, crisis won't be coming up. You understand? If go to Kenya now, they are in chaos. A lot of things, and at the same time, you put more money into elections, and at the end of the day, you won't see the value, and masses will be suffering. So the cost might be, one, inflation in the entire system. Two, bad governance. The people at the helm of affairs are not being honest to the masses. Because we are for sure, if you can budget over 313 point something billion for a particular election, and at the end of the day, you see come, I don't think that we are being fair to the masses.
I mean, everywhere we have poverty, we have all sorts of inflation, headline inflation, food inflation. Education is nothing to be written about. Our infrastructure is dilapidated. That you mentioned over 3 billion. I mean, one would think, as you have mentioned, it may not be viable to have that amount of money spent, so-called. But then, some people will say if you don't give that money, you won't get the right, election. For you, what do you think will be then a calculated estimate of what an election would be in terms of amounts?
See, for us, a good election doesn't necessarily mean that big amount being pushed into that election. We need people that have grit and honesty. We need good managers of our economy. If you have bad managers, any amount of money you like, put there. At the end of the day, you still get a wrong result. So what I feel we should do is to have feet at the helm of affairs. Put the right people there. Those people that have grit, those people that have fear of God, they are the people that can change the whole thing and then reduce the cost of that elections. Until we get it right from that angle. If you like, put all the money, get every money in this country, towards that election. At the end of the day, if you don't have the right people there, you still have chaos.
Okay, out of education, you think people should have in an election of our magnitude? Because the cost of money is one thing, because you always talk about the fact that the amount is too much for that election. But do you think a budget for education, enlightenment, and even rural engagement is important in,
Sure.
electoral process?
For sure. We need to enlighten especially the rural people. In rural areas, you don't much enlightened people there. They believe in maybe their leaders or their opinion molders. But many urban areas, many cities in the town, people can reason, can separate the wheat from the chaff. You can say exactly, this man told me this thing, but this is not the right thing. This is the right thing. But in rural areas, people, you have influencers. They believe in Mr. A, they believe in Mr. B. And whatever thing Mr. B says, that's what Mr. B says, this election will go like this. Is right or wrong? They don't want to know. That's the rule I'm talking. So the aides that are responsible for enlightenment in this country should put more effort towards that. I think that is where we budget more money. Have radio programs, have media programs, educate people, get town criers down to the village and tell them the rating if election comes, so that they will know exactly where they are heading to. And if those things have been done, I think it will reduce the cost of governance and cost of elections. Because in this country, that's why I give many people, you can see the Japa syndrome. It's not because this country is not good, but because of the way things are being handled. Many young men are being frustrated on a daily basis. If, for instance, you know that if you manage 10 naira very well, we can achieve one or two things. But because the person that is at the helm of affairs, that we give that 10 naira to the right person to manage it, may like to use his or her own brother or somebody close to him or a relative to do that thing at a higher cost. These are part of the problems we have in this country. And until we get it right from that angle, and that's why I said earlier, until we put the right person at the right place when it comes to issues of election in this country, that's the time we get it right.
You spoke to who is in it. Can you tell us a little bit of the components of budgeting for an election? What does it contain? The budgeting of an election, and what takes the chunk of the monies, what doesn't take the most monies for you? What are those things? What are the components of budgeting for an election?
Well, I can't talk as an expert, but I can give a view. You see, when you are budgeting for election, you budget for enlightenment. You budget for electoral materials. You budget for personnel and other resources that needed for that election to be carried out. And that's logistics, okay. Yeah. So when you budget clearly, and even if you are without putting the right people there, I think you mess the up.
I think there's also a portion for training, because the right people would come with training.
Of course.
So are you saying training so far in our electoral system hasn't worked to the extent that
yes, it hasn't worked to the extent that we've got, that we make it right. We need to invest more in training and retraining. And doing this, we need to get people that are qualified for that particular job, that have natural instinct for that particular job, that have the desire for this country ahead. The people that have the desire for a better government, for a better Nigeria. Until we have that kind of people in mind, when one or two things pertaining to election, we may never get it right.
Wow. We also talk about security, because even last election, INEC was complaining about the fact that some of their materials destroyed. I think part of them was in the southeast, some in the south, and they were screaming that those things will be replaced. And some of places, in fact, in Imo State, in the last governorship election, there was no, election because of security.
Yes,
concerns.
we all witnessed that. I think that security is one of the other major aspects of that one. The majority security is supposed to be number one. In this country now, anything can happen at any time. You might be thinking, others might be thinking the other way. And I'm sorry to say this, many politicians that feel that this thing may not go them, they can go ahead and do anything. Take a typical example, last protest that happened in Kano. Instead of people to protest along the way and go normal, they went into it and vandalized the whole court. And they said that. So I think that security should be one. Enlightenment and others. Not to. Our personnel, our security personnel needed to be equipped and enlightened.
Do you think that the budget or the provisions of the monies for INEC what compromises the integrity of the election of some sort? Because again, they say the person who plays piper dictates the tune. And we know when INEC does his budget, he sends to the body that allows the monies to come. And finance is under the presidency, and the presidency, appoints who he wants to be the INEC chairman. So do you think that somehow this thing is somehow connected to the fact that the integrity of the would be jeopardized if the budget money?
For sure. But for me, I don't think the executives should remove their hands in anything, how do you call it, in appointing the INEC or the electoral officers. There should be an act. It should be said so that we can have what we call free and fair election. Just as we said, he who pays it but dictates the tune. If the INEC is very, very separate and get their budget so that they can do whatever thing they feel like for a good chance in this country, I don't think that any person can influence what they will do. And they will come up with something reasonable, something that will be acceptable to every person.
Do you think the last election for everybody?
No, I don't think so.
The last 2023 elections?
I don't think so. The presidential election.
Okay, the presidential election,
yes.
Not the gubernatorial election.
Not the gubernatorial.
So, you think the gubernatorial election met the aspirations of Nigerians, but the question?
Yes, to at least 80 to 90%. But that of a presidential election, no. I don't think so.
Well, why wouldn't you think so?
You saw we all are witnesses to that. We all are witnesses to that now. You see, we have a process whereby we need to get our result clear. All of a sudden, everything disappeared. And we went into manual. Why? At this modern age. Alone brought about doubts in the whole process, especially on that of presidential. You saw the legal tussle that happened. At the end of the day, we came up with this result. If not another person in the street, that might not be the real result.
Do you think introduction of technology in an election helps to douse some of these things that you're saying?
We tried it in the last 2023 election. What happened? They abused it. We held a House of Representatives, Senate, and that presidential election on the same day.
Yes.
The process for that of House of Representatives went, that of Senate went well, and at the same time, the same process of that presidential election couldn't go. What happened? Is that not electronically managed? It's technological managed now. So what happened? That's why I said we need to put right people at the right place. The right people at that thing could we were every person was watching the whole thing on screen to get the result the way it's supposed to be. All of a sudden, one of three disappeared. We started having problem. And every other one went well. One same system, the same day, the same time. So we need some to have people, the right people at the right place. So how these things can be happening. Had it been that the election went well and everything moved the way it's supposed to be, nobody will today go to out any person. We wouldn't have any doubt in mind that this thing couldn't go this way.
No, the INEC said there was technical glitch.
Only for that.
Maybe because of the the system.
That is the point. Now, is it not was the election not electronic?
So
I see it now.
So technology hasn't even solved our problem of electoral malpractice.
Technology can solve it if we wait.
So you think human manipulation was what caused?
For sure. You can't prove it. For sure, you see that they don't know how to put it, but we all were witnesses. You need not to tell anybody.
We understand that international communities sometimes even come in to donate funds to INEC bodies, even go and do that for off-cycle elections for states. And even some of them will come to observe elections that we have had in the past. Some of them sometimes use statements on how whether they are satisfied with the election or not. You know, I don't know whether you think the influence of the bodies and the donations and their influence go how far helping with our mode of operation at that level.
Well, that basically. In this part of the world, I must be sincere to you, we are the blacks, the most populated black nation in the whole world. And at the same time, if the West can allow us to grow, we are sure that in the future we might be competing with them. But many a times, those nations influence our ways of doing things in this place.
How?
I'm coming. When they give us that money in the open, it's good they come and give that election credence, because they are observing the election. We tell the whole world that this thing went well or didn't go well. At the same time, many of the donations we receive from them in the open, they will go down deep secretly to make sure that they have something else that will pay for that particular thing. You know
how? It's called donation, so it's not.
No, donation. You know, there's no free anywhere in the world.
Wow.
You should know
but
that.
Are you saying this as some knows that this is what happens?
I'm coming. There's no free meal anywhere. If you are here now and I come inside here and give you 10 million, for instance, be expecting something from me now. If not today, it might be tomorrow. It's obvious. This is life. This is pure truth. So those of them that are giving you money for one thing or the other, they are wise. They know that you have many resources. Once they help you in need, now when you have relaxed, they'll come as a friend to demand for something else. That's why I say that. You see, recently, I don't know what they are up to. Recently, some of our private jets have been seized outside the country. Why? You understand the point?
I mean, no, that's a totally different thing. It's actions.
I know, but donations came in from somewhere now. When down, you know that something happens somewhere. They can't just see that anything because okay, let me just analyze more. If somebody gives you, for instance, the 10 million I said earlier, without mentioning anything, tomorrow you might come, my friend, please, I am in need. But if you need this, I can give you too. We are friends. Okay, this one now. Now, I need this thing from you. Now, maybe in one minute we put a little clause. You need money, come and take from us, but we can use these resources to back it up, even if you don't have money. Don't mind, we are friends. Now you have entered. You understand? At the end of the day, they know that once they hold this thing, the rate of your progression will be slowed down. And at the time they will need you to pay back, you might find it difficult to pay.
But this is not a loan. It's a donation. So it's the will of the person who you are donating to do the will of them or not.
That is
The organizations like EU, they are not the only organization that do donations.
Apart from organizations now,
other countries, decide to give you. So
you understand the point?
It doesn't mean that every country does that to country that they do
no,
donations.
It all depends on you. The person that receives donation.
Okay.
It all depends on you. That's why I said earlier, if you have good leaders, there are certain donations, there are certain things that will come to you, you will reject them.
Oh, really?
Yes. You cannot just see somebody on the road, the person will just come and say, my friend, you are so handsome. Take this 10 million naira, take this 5 million naira, take this 1,000. Tomorrow the person will say, oh, do you still remember me? And when I gave you 10 million, are you help me up? Because you have taken something from him. Next time again, come. I can see you are still in need. I will give you this thing as a loan. And I'm your friend. You now collect. Actually, you are moving. Do you know the debt profile of this thing? How come about that? So some of them can come from as a friendly nation. By giving you donation, you are doing election, I know that will cost you, take this. After that, now come back again. Don't just give you money and go, no. They need something. They need something from you. Start gradually. They don't just come and push the whole thing now, take this and do that. No. Gradually. At the end of the day, they might trick you into that. Then when you fall, there you are. So elections need to open our eyes very well when collecting donations from other nations. We can manage what we have if we.
Okay. In the last election, the technology that we use, the IRF technology that we use, some persons, we had several of INEC, representative tell us they're introducing these types of technologies in order for us to be able to cut short, some of these problematics. Like you wouldn't have someone go to a hinterland, and then it is only when they come into town
that you can
they can transmit from the location or into that. How much of technology or investment in technology can cost for us in governance? Because it does look like introduce technology, the more expensive it becomes. If you introduce technology cheaper,
well, it's supposed to be cheaper in a way, depending, because using technologies can help us get the actual thing we want. If we so desire, if the people at the helm of our affairs so that using this election, this must go this way, I think that would be the cheapest way if we use technology. But the problem you have, those same that are budgeted for this thing. Will they make use of those IRFs, those that have that budgeted for? For instance, this last general election, we had used the technology we paid for and those budgeting elections very well. We couldn't be telling, nobody will be doubting any person about the election, because you see it within 24 hours, you get every result. You know the legal tussle that went on that presidential election, for how long, the stress many people passed on. So check it now. If we had used technology, is the best way, but we need to utilize it the best. If we can utilize the technology very well, the loss of election will be so minimal.
Really?
But the problem is that those managing those things, that is where I keep emphasizing on the human resources. The managers of our election.
But again, it's quite difficult if you're on the managers of the election, because there's somebody who approves the budget. You know, after you finish your budgeting, you have to take it to somebody who approves it.
Yes.
So
So the point there. For instance, is INEC done our election, national election? Independent. Are they not independent again?
The
Once,
extent,
no, let me tell you, that is the problem. Maybe the executives are having an influence them. But let me tell you, once independent is there, independent electoral commission, once you have sent their budget and it's approved by the National Assembly and then assented by the presidency, you're independent. You don't look back or left. What the result of that particular thing now? And once the result comes out, where it's supposed to be, let any person go to any court. The same result. You get it anyway. But because the people are the masses, we just be looking maybe left or right and listening maybe from somebody behind. That's when we get problems. INEC is supposed to be neutral, 100% neutral every election. And once you are neutral, you do the right thing. You can only do the wrong thing when you are not neutral. Once the person, now even the president, approves that budget for you and the money sent to you, you are on your own. And if that is being done of that technology, 100%, within 24 hours, within 48 hours, every result, and go to any court, you still have the proof there. The proof will always be there, just like 1 + 1, which will give you 2. It's technology for you.
That's about it when it comes to these elections, and we'll keep interrogating it because what we have is almost as if what we have in the state, because the state is also appointed a state governor, and then the budget is also approved by the state governor, and then these issues go back and forth. So we'll keep interrogating them. Mr. Edmond, Director of Finance in Ibuesa South Local Government Area, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, my brother.
We truly appreciate it.
God bless you.
All right, shortly after this break, to stay with us.